Welcome back. My name is Nico Schwegler, and today we're going to be going over things that I learned from my first gig ever sideline reporting at a major football event. So, currently, I go to Chapman University, and I'm a part of a great organization called CSBN, the Chapman Sports Broadcasting Network. Highly recommend you check us out. We post a lot of great content out there for you guys. But on this recent game against Redlands, where Chapman University played on homecoming, I was selected to be the sideline reporter for that game. Number 1, always be prepared, but don't be overly prepared. Going into this game, I was so focused on making sure I had everything down. However, being sideline is very different from being color commentary or play-by-play. Play-by-play, you have to know the ins and outs of the game and whatnot. You need to know who has what stats, all these different things. Sideline, yes, it's important for you to know these things. However, it is crucial that you don't get fixated on some type of script, especially going into like your pregame or your postgame, because things will change. The game is ever evolving. As Stephen A. Smith says, it's fluid. However, you have to always make sure that you are prepared going into the game. Know who your key players are. Know exactly what the storylines are going into this matchup. Who you should look out for. What are the things that you need to pay attention to on sideline? Because your ultimate goal as a sideline reporter is to tell the audience things that the commentary booth cannot see. Interactions on the field. Are players upset when coming off the field? Injuries is your biggest thing. You need to be able to give injury updates, especially for the team that you are covering if you are for a specific team. As for me, I mainly represent Chapman. Yes, I knew a little bit about Redlands, but I mainly stay on the Chapman sideline so that I'm not pissing off any of the Redland coaching staff or whatnot. You have to be prepared though, but don't be prepared at the same time. Don't be prepared with scripts. Don't be prepared with any of this stuff that you would think you would need. However, the best content comes out when you're talking from the heart, when you're actually saying what you need. However, you need to be prepared enough to be able to deliver that message in a concise manner. That way you're not dragging on and making your director and producer pissed at you because you took an extra 30 seconds for your own segment when they really needed to get back to the game. Be open to anything is my second thing. You have to be willing to try different things. You have to be able to speak when you're not on camera. Give that quick injury update that they might need, because that could provide critical information. If you're at a bigger school than I am, and you're covering a game for USC, for Oregon, right now Colorado's massive. If you're at any school in the SEC that's massive with football, and this can apply to anything. Basketball, this can apply to baseball, all these different things. But football is obviously the big one because sideline reporter is most prevalent in football. For example, at this most recent game, we were remembering the late passing of the former Chapman sports director, Dave Curry. Out of the blue, one of my guys, Dave, who is the engineer, tech wizard, everything for CSBN. Absolutely love him. Dave, if you're watching this, shout out to you. However, he told me, you want to go interview his son? And me, having been in this situation for the first time, at first I was a little stuck. I didn't know what questions to come up with. He gave me a little bit of a rail map to kind of figure out what I should ask, but I wanted to make sure that these questions were very solid. I didn't just want to ask him, how are you doing? How has it been? What do you miss about Chapman? I didn't want to just do that because then it's boring. Then there's no incentive for a producer to cut away. You're just talking to someone and giving really vague questions. So be open to trying new things. And while it may not be the best for you, it's definitely something that will allow you to learn. It'll allow you to explain things in different ways. It'll allow you to interview different people that you may not have thought you would be interviewing. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a player or a coach. For example, it could be a guest who has some prominence to the game. Third point, have fun with it. Going into the game, you'll definitely have nerves. I felt my entire body shaking right before I was going on camera for the first time. However, you have to just have fun with it. I've been complimented a lot on how my reporting was. However, there were definitely mental mistakes that I made. Forgetting to turn on my mic was an example of that. I did that once or twice during the game. And yes, it's embarrassing. However, when you have fun with it and you allow your passion for the sport, that's a big thing. Have passion for the sport. That takes away a lot of the different things that you need to know, because now you can talk from the heart about what you know about the sport and how the sport is affecting the game that you are currently reporting on. So, definitely know the sport, but have fun with it. It takes a lot of the nerves out of it once you get into a flow. And as a sideline reporter, the big thing I can state is once you get into that flow, it's very easy to get away with it. So you need to be able to learn how to cut it off right when you need it to be cut off, because you are not the main part of the show. The way that the play-by-play and commentary are not the main part of the show. While you are the people that the audience is hearing at home, you have to realize that most of these people would tune into this game regardless if you were commentating. My fourth thing, have good communication with the people you need to communicate with. Usually you'll have a production assistant. Definitely communicate with them. If you need anything from them, that's someone you can delegate to. It allows you to do more things at once because you'll have an extra person there doing something where you can have two people essentially in two different places. Maybe there's a big drive that's happening, but you need this guy to go talk to whoever you're trying to interview from the crowd, or a player maybe, but you need to be focused in on this drive in case they're scoring a touchdown. And that way you can see who has just scored the touchdown. Vice versa, I could be talking to the player that I need to interview and have my assistant watch the game, tell me who has just scored, and that way I'm still in the loop of things. The big person you need to be able to have great communication with is your producer. Everything runs through your producer. I have a great producer, Emily Cho. Shout out Emily. However, you need to have great communication with them. Otherwise, you will be useless. You need to know when you're coming in. You need to know if the ideas you're pitching are worthy enough to go on screen, because at the end of the day, they need to be able to figure out how they're going to cut camera shots together and when they're going to put you on camera versus when they're going to have commentary on camera, when they have the game on camera. And so having that communication with your producer allows you to be in the loop of things, allows you to pitch your ideas, pitch things that you want to be on screen to enhance the viewer's perception of the game. And then they can relay that on to the director, who's masterfully directing this entire thing from all the different camera shots with all the different angles. If you've never seen a director in action, I highly suggest you watch a video of Glenn Weiss directing the Emmys or the Tonys. It's incredible to watch. Most people I know probably wouldn't be able to do it, even with many hours of repetition. So definitely, communication is the biggest thing you need to know. You're not just communicating to your audience while on screen. Communicating with the people behind the scenes is quite as important, if not more important, than the actual thing that you're putting out on screen, because of what it means for the actual production. And finally, my biggest thing, ask good questions. If it's someone that you don't know, especially someone from the crowd or something like that, first take some time to come up with questions. You can do a little bit of banter like they do on talk shows initially. Ask them how they're doing, how's the game looking from their perspective. But when you get into the actual meat of your interview, especially in a post-game interview, for example, with a coach or with a player, you need to make sure that you have good questions. Never ask the question, how does it feel? How do you feel right now? How the heck do you think they feel right now? Most likely you're interviewing a player or a coach who's just won. Or if you're going into halftime, usually they'll be up. So they're feeling pretty good. You can ask them how does it feel, but frame it in a different way so that you're getting something other than feels pretty good. Because that's not an entertaining video or interview for anybody to watch at home. They already know the answer to that. From their perspective, it feels pretty good watching this guy just win and going off for 2 touchdowns and 100 receiving yards. Like, you need to be able to ask interesting questions that entice an enticing response from the person you are interviewing. Ask questions about a certain play. Ask questions about players, preparation heading into the game, what they were able to see on this certain play, on this certain drive, what was clicking for them. Ask questions like that. That way, you're actually able to get into the mind of them. They can start talking about their experience from a football perspective rather than an entertainment perspective. That has been my spiel for today. So, if there's any more questions you have about sideline reporting or anything in sports broadcasting, please let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe to this channel, and we'll be back for more content another day. Schwegs, signing out.